The first crack appeared on a Tuesday, a tiny, hairline fracture in the reality I thought we shared. It was his phone, left face up on the kitchen counter while he made coffee. A notification lit up the screen. Can't stop thinking about last night. You're a god. The sender was simply L. My blood didn't run cold. It evaporated. The world tilted on its axis, the cheerful morning sun through the window suddenly feeling like an interrogation lamp. Mark was my Mark, the man who'd proposed to me on this very countertop 6 months prior, now humming a tune while another woman texted him declarations that belonged in my world, not hers. I didn't confront him, not then. Confrontation leads to tears, to lies, to pathetic promises and a slow, painful death of a relationship. I'd seen it with my parents. Instead, I became a ghost in my own home, a silent collector of evidence. I learned the art of moving through rooms without making a sound, of checking his phone while he snored drunkenly beside me, of memorizing passwords and patterns. Her name was Lara. She was a junior partner at his firm. It wasn't just an affair, it was a full-blown parallel life. The business trips to Chicago were weekends in a boutique hotel with her. The client dinners were dates at the little Italian place he'd taken me to on our first anniversary. He was feeding her the same lines, the same dreams, using the same playbook he'd used on me. The betrayal was so complete it was almost artistic. The night I found the emails planning their future once the wedding is over and the money is merged, we can be together. It'll be easier that way, was the night my grief finally hardened into something useful. Something cold and sharp, a plan. Revenge, I decided, wasn't about screaming or slashing tires. It was about patience. It was about understanding your enemy better than they understood themselves. Mark's currency wasn't love. It was status, money, and the pristine, polished image he presented to the world. To destroy him, I had to bankrupt him in all three. I played the perfect, doting fiancé. I helped him choose the wedding china. I laughed at his stupid jokes. I even met Lara at a company picnic, shaking her slender, manicured hand, looking directly into her triumphant eyes and smiling. "So lovely to finally meet you," I said, my voice dripping with a warmth I didn't feel. "Mark talks about you all the time." The flicker of panic in her gaze was my first taste of sustenance in months. My revenge required a partner. Not a friend. I couldn't trust anyone but a fellow victim. It took me 2 weeks to find James Lara's husband. He was a quiet, unassuming graphic designer who posted photos of his woodworking projects online. I created a fake email, a shield of anonymity, and sent him a single, time-stamped photo of Mark and Lara kissing in a dimly lit packing garage. The subject line: "You're not the only one being played." James was a man of few words, but his response was potent. "What do you need?" Our coordination was a thing of beautiful, silent precision. While I had access to Mark's financial life, James had access to Lara's daily routines. We became architects of their ruin. I started small. I used his credit cards to make anonymous donations to organizations he despised. I subtly changed key numbers in his investment spreadsheets. A decimal point here, a zero there, creating a slow, imperceptible bleed. But the centerpiece, the grand finale, required a public stage. Our wedding day. I walked down the aisle, a vision in white, feeling like a wolf in sheep's clothing. Mark stood at the altar, beaming the picture of a lucky man. He had no idea that the string quartet playing Pachelbel's canon was being paid from an account I'd already begun siphoning. He didn't know that the prenuptial agreement he'd so carefully crafted, the one that protected his assets in case of my infidelity, had been digitally altered by James, a master of Photoshop, to include a clause nullifying it in the event of his. The reception was in full swing. 200 of our closest friends, family, and business associates were there, drinking champagne he could no longer afford. The air was thick with laughter and the clinking of glasses. It was time. I nodded to James, who was standing near the back, his face a calm mask. He gave a subtle signal to the DJ. The music faded. The colorful dance floor lights died, replaced by the stark, white glare of the projector screen we'd used for a cheesy slideshow of our love story earlier. "What's this, honey?" Mark slurred, his arm around my waist. "A surprise." "Oh, it's a surprise," I said softly, extracting myself from his grip. A hush fell over the crowd. Then, the screen lit up, not with more photos of us, but with a meticulously edited video. It began innocently enough, a shot of Mark's email inbox. Then, the cursor hovered over and opened the first email from Lara. "Can't stop thinking about last night. You're a god." A collective, sharp intake of breath echoed through the hall. The video played on, a relentless montage of their betrayal. Text messages planning their liaisons, hotel receipts. Then, the audio recordings, clips I'd captured on my phone left strategically in our apartment. Mark's voice, clear as day, scoffing about my naivety, telling Lara how he was just waiting for my inheritance to clear before he dumped the boring bitch. Her laughter, tinkling and cruel, followed. The screen split. On one side, the financial charts showed his accounts being systematically drained, the numbers plummeting to zero in a dramatic animation I'd commissioned. On the other side, a live feed from James's phone showed Lara in her wedding guest dress, being served with divorce papers by a process server right there at her table. The silence in the room was absolute, a physical weight. You could hear the ice melting in the glasses. Mark stood frozen at the center of the dance floor, his face a grotesque mask of shock, horror, and dawning comprehension. He turned to me, his mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. I walked up to him, the microphone I'd palmed from the DJ stand in my hand. My voice, calm and clear, resonated through the speakers. "The wedding is off," I said, my eyes locked on his. "But it looks like you're already broke." I dropped the microphone. It hit the wooden floor with a deafening thwomp that seemed to break the spell. Chaos erupted. People were shouting, chairs scraping, Lara was sobbing, and Mark was just crumbling. I walked out of that hall, through the gauntlet of stunned faces, and never looked back. I left him there, standing in the ruins of the life he'd so carelessly built on lies, exposed and financially eviscerated in front of everyone who ever mattered to him. Some people say revenge is a poison you drink yourself. They're wrong. It's the first clean glass of water after a long, desperate thirst.